Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've been feeling stuck, distracted, or like you're just constantly spinning your wheels without getting anywhere, we're going to unpack a highly actionable blueprint to fix it. It's called the Ghost Mode Protocol. We're breaking down exactly how you can use deliberate isolation to literally reclaim your focus, rewire your brain, and leapfrog your current progress. I want you to really sit with this question for a second. What if 3 months of total silence achieved more than 3 entire years of hustling? It's a massive paradigm shift, right? It completely challenges this modern obsession we have with always being on and just endlessly grinding. But the core concept here isn't about running away from the world. It's about strategically removing yourself from the social noise and all those endless distractions so you can pour absolutely everything you have into one singular goal. So here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, the power of ghost mode. Second, the cheap dopamine trap. Then, step 1, the elimination. Step 2, action rules. Step 3, identity shift. And finally, your final wake-up call. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the power of ghost mode, escaping the average. You know, most people out there are totally trapped in what we call the modern loop. They wake up, work, scroll, sleep, and repeat. They're just caught in this holding pattern, subconsciously waiting for some perfect moment to finally start chasing their real goals. And let's be honest, that perfect moment, it never actually comes. Contrast that with the 90-day reset. This relies on deliberate isolation, intense focus, and strategic growth. Success isn't some magic mystery. It's built by consciously rejecting that endless loop and choosing deliberate action, exactly when the rest of the world is sleeping on their potential. Moving on to part 2, the cheap dopamine trap and why hard work feels so boring. Okay, your brain is actually lying to you right now. It's telling you that scrolling through your phone is just so much better than working on a difficult project. But why? Well, it's all because of cheap dopamine. Modern digital activities like social media, video games, and junk food, they trigger these massive, effortless dopamine spikes. Research actually shows that a single smartphone notification can hijack your brain's reward system in a fraction of a second. We literally get biologically addicted to these easy hits. So when our brains are constantly flooded with this cheap dopamine, our natural baseline just gets completely thrown off. And that means anything requiring sustained, genuine effort, it suddenly feels incredibly boring. Which brings us to a really hard truth. What feels like laziness is actually fear in disguise. We aren't necessarily lazy people. We just get biologically hooked on cheap stimulation because staying in our comfort zone feels safe, but it's really a prison we build for ourselves. It's usually rooted in the fear of failing, the fear of what other people might think, or the pressure that comes with actually going after our big goals. So how do we fix it? That brings us to part 3. Step 1, the elimination, the dopamine reset. To get ahead, you absolutely have to simplify. For the next 90 days, you need to execute a total dopamine reset based on 3 really specific parameters. First up, set clear boundaries. Tell your family and friends you're going to be less available because you're focusing on your growth. Second, eliminate the clutter. Cut out the digital noise, the drama, the pointless scrolling. You have to lower your brain's baseline of stimulation. And third, replace all that noise with substance. Meaningful projects, deep reading, physical exercise. Treat your focus like your life depends on it. Because remember, one single, deeply focused hour is vastly more powerful than an entire day of scattered multitasking. Next up is part 4. Step 2, action rules. Beating procrastination. To really crush procrastination, you want to start with the 2-minute rule. Most people fail because they look at the whole giant mountain they have to climb, they get completely overwhelmed, and they just freeze. To beat that, if a task feels scary, just commit to doing it for 2 minutes. Literally, that's it. Sit down, start, and give yourself full permission to stop after 2 minutes if you really want to. The secret here is that once you actually start, momentum almost always takes over, and you'll naturally just keep going. Right alongside that is the 3-second rule. Taking action is kind of like jumping into freezing cold water, right? It shocks you for a second, but then your body adjusts. When you feel that familiar creeping urge to procrastinate, just count down. 3, 2, 1, go. Don't even think about it. Just physically move. You've got to shock your system into action, because the longer you wait, the louder and more convincing your excuses are going to get. Now, as you're taking all this action, you have to keep the famous 80-20 rule in mind. 80% of your results are going to come from just 20% of your efforts. Ghost mode is not about doing busy work just so you feel productive. It's about ruthlessly identifying those vital few tasks that actually move the needle, and then relentlessly ignoring the rest of the noise.
This brings us to part 5, step 3, identity shift, discipline, and consistency.
Look, success isn't about one giant temporary leap. It's about showing up every single day. And to do that, you can't just change your habits. You actually have to change your identity. Saying I need to work out implies that it's a chore, right? Something completely outside of who you are. But saying I am someone who trains their body is a powerful identity statement. Your brain believes what you show it repeatedly. So start collecting evidence of your new self. A fantastic way to do this is by keeping a hard things journal, where you document the difficult tasks you push through every single day, just to prove to your own brain that you are becoming a totally new person. And as you're building that new identity, you're going to need a strong anchor, the never miss twice rule. This is literally the absolute cornerstone of discipline. Motivation is inevitably going to fade. We all have messy days where we're just exhausted and we might slip up and miss a day of our new routine. That's just being human. But the golden rule is you never ever miss 2 days in a row. Setting this simple, unbreakable boundary is what prevents a bad day from spiraling into a bad month, and it keeps you incredibly consistent over the long haul. Finally, part 6, your final wake-up call, the 1% proof and taking charge. If you're doubting the power of ghost mode right now, just look at the elite 1%. Elon Musk famously worked 100-hour weeks, completely cutting out socializing, just to build his vision from the ground up. Steve Jobs had these distinct periods where he basically disappeared from the public eye to intensely focus on breakthrough products. Michael Jordan became an absolute legend, not because he was flawless, but because he isolated his weaknesses and never, ever stopped risking failure to improve them. The crucial takeaway here is that these icons weren't born superhuman. They simply made a deliberate decision to commit to their growth, no matter the cost. They sacrificed temporary, cheap comfort for lasting success. We're going to end this explainer with a pretty brutal but absolutely necessary truth. Nobody is coming to save you. You can stay stuck in blame, waiting for the perfect circumstances to align, or you can take charge. If just 90 days of absolute, uncompromising focus can completely rewrite your trajectory, who are you going to be when you finally choose to speak again?